When I was on active duty in the Marines, there was a lot of things I got to see that helped me to understand the real world and the things that we don't know here at home. Growing up, I was born down in Galveston and kind of grew up all over the place. Ended up graduating from a little town called Wimberley in Central Texas. Had some family up here in North Dallas or in Northeast Texas that I would go and visit from time to time, but most of my family was down in Houston and down and around those areas. So I graduated in 2003 and enlisted in the Marine Corps when I was 17, prior to graduation, and about 2 weeks after graduation, I was off to boot camp. And I enlisted because of what happened on 9/11, because I wanted to go and fight, and I wanted to go and defend my country. So doing that at that time, when you're in the Marine Corps and you're going into the infantry, you first go into the infantry training battalion after boot camp and all that. So while there, one of our instructors asked us, it was kind of a common practice, why did you join? Why did you enlist? Why are you in the infantry? And naturally, we all raise our hand to fight. That's why we are here, right? It's what we want to do. We want to go and fight in this war. And anybody who knows anybody in the infantry, we all know that that's the question that we're going to ask you. But also, we're gonna make you think about that once or twice. When you're training guys to be willing to sacrifice their life for something that's bigger than them, you want to make sure that what they're doing that for is real, is legit, right? But in addition to that fact, you got to recognize where what you're sacrificing yourself for is more than just that particular thing, more than just a cause or any of that. As a unit, as an operation, going to war itself, yeah, you're fighting for that greater cause. But when you're out there, it's for you and your buddy to your left and to your right. In recognizing that, many years go by. I'm going into my 8th and 9th year of service. I became a combat instructor, and I started training up the next generation of infantry Marines. I trained about, if you add my time in the fleet and my time teaching Marines at ITB, it's about 1,600 Marines. I've trained in infantry tactics, techniques, and procedures, the MOS of infantry riflemen. And I've trained about 600 foreign law enforcement and military between Philippines, Afghanistan, Iraq, all that. And so I loved it. I loved every minute of it. I was in Operation Phantom Fury in 2004, 2005, going into Fallujah. That was my first taste of combat. Then after that, I was in Afghanistan in 2006 during Operation Mountain Lion, largest airborne operation since Vietnam, going after the guys that took out Marcus Luttrell's team. And then after that, coming back, ended up doing a couple of non-combat deployments. And then from there, did another combat deployment as a combat replacement in 2008, where I joined Gulf 27 out there in Bakwa, Afghanistan. And then the last deployment I did was to the country of Georgia, training their military to start fighting with us in Afghanistan, making sure they were switching from Russian-based firearms to American-based M16 platforms and those variants there. So during that time, I got to see a lot. But during the period I was training the Marines coming up at ITB, I go and I ask them the same question that my generation got asked coming up, right? Why did you join? You're in the infantry. Why are you here? And the result of that was crickets. Maybe one kid would say, I joined to fight. The rest of them couldn't really give a solid answer. And that surprised me. I had, being in ITB, it's what we call a B billet. It's your first chance to be able to stay at home and to, not have to deploy anywhere for a couple of years while you're in your B billet. But you're still working your butt off. You're still in the field for many days out of the week. It's still, kind of rare that you see your family. Do watch on weekends, all that stuff. But during that time, I started kind of reconnecting with the world, right? Started watching the news, paying attention to things going on. And that's when I started realizing there's a lot of stuff going on here at home while we're busy fighting these wars that is crazy. I don't recognize a lot of things going on. I hear about what's happening in schools, and I got the kids right there. These kids are 17, 18, 19 years old. Some of them are a bit older, joining up later in life. But I got to ask him, it's like, is this really the stuff you're dealing with in school and things of that nature? Of course, at that time, I was dealing with all the nonsense of the Obama administration coming down, and rarely ever seen a chaplain come out to any event unless it's a formation, and just the anti-religious demeanor of a lot of things that were going on at the time. I was not fully back in my faith, but I was kind of coming back to it, and that's where I kind of realized just how much anti-religious bigotry there really was in the higher echelons of the military, and what all chaplains had to deal with and what was going on there. But these kinds of things and seeing what's happening in civilian life really, really surprised me. And that's what made me want to start wondering, okay, how do I get involved in this? I made sure to vote every time I had the opportunity to, whenever we would get our mail-in ballots and everything while overseas. And I always voted any time that I could. But, I wanted to do something more. I had no idea what to do. I was a young man. I just, gotten married, got my 4 kids to focus on and take care of. But I just realized that there was something that was not right. So getting out of the military, I had injured both of my hips, and so I got medical separation after having procedures done on them that basically rendered me useless. I can take care of myself, I can do things, but all it takes is one bad turn on a rock or something like that, and my hip's out of place, or things of that nature. So I accepted my medical discharge under honorable conditions, and started my civilian life, trying to figure things out in California. It's where I met my wife. It's where I was last stationed, and so I had just gotten started up there. And in that time that I was there, I did not like being in California at all. The way the people were there, the way things that were happening, I couldn't get a job anywhere. I applied to Jack in the Box, to Flying J, anything, everywhere I could go. I was blacklisted. I was red flagged. I was a military member. So I had to focus on going to school, getting my education, doing all that. I went to DeVry University and started doing my bachelor's in business management, and just stayed focused on that in my education. But I still paid attention to what was going on in the news. After a while, I always like to joke around, say my wife saw the light, so we moved to Texas, came back out here because I just couldn't find work. I couldn't get a job anywhere out there in California, and we could live off the BAH. We made it work, but it was tough. It was hard. So coming back over here to Texas, and I was able to get in a good investment that got a good return on it. And with that, I started up a business. I was an FFL and a gunsmith. And so I started doing my own business and starting to train people how to shoot and doing all that. Got my certification to be a licensed to carry instructor and doing all that. But that was a great first lesson. And I just couldn't get past that 1-year hump. And, such is life, right? You lessons learned. I gave it a go. I gave it a try. And, hey, I learned a lot. I'm trying to redo it right now. I learned a lot of lessons then. I want to give it another go. So from there, had to find a job. I got wife, kids. I got to take care of them. I got to do what I got to do. And so I ended up becoming a plumber's apprentice for a wonderful family-based business up in Hearst. And the family was just so very kind to me. Such wonderful people. And I really enjoyed learning the trade. I ended up learning I wasn't exactly the best at it. I can do the job. I can do it well. I just can't do it fast. And I couldn't keep up with the guys in the field with my injuries. So I had to tell the boss that I just can't keep going to the field and doing this stuff. Is there something else we can do? I became the project manager working the glass and glazing side of the house. And had really enjoyed doing that. And it was during that time I started learning a lot about just the things that everybody has to deal with every day, right? I had 10 years in the military, coming out of the military and getting back into the civilian world, having to deal with, going from one job to the other, and just trying to scrape by and do what we can, especially when I had my wife and 4 kids at home, right? And just how difficult it can be. And so, learning that lesson and all that, I had completed my degree, started pursuing masters at Dallas Baptist University, wanting to go into ministry, started getting more involved in the church at that time, started coming back to my faith more fully. And still very much actively engaged in the matters of politics and trying to see what is all this crazy stuff going on after Obama, and then Trump gets into office and there's all these changes that are going on, and just trying to keep up with things and what all's happening, especially here in the state of Texas, and trying to figure all that out, seeing what's happening in schools. Had my kids homeschooled, and then we put them into public school for a bit over in Arlington, Texas. And yeah, that was not going to work. What they were trying to teach kids there at that young an age, no, not going to allow it. The principal was very, very young and very much in support of what would later be identified more prominently as a DEI type of perspective of things, and the whole LGBTQ plus hoopla. And I'm not going to have my kids have that kind of stuff pushing. Keep the politics out of the schools. And that just, oh man, that got under my skin so bad. So pulling the kids out, started homeschooling, and realized this is so much better. This is such, it's easier on us as a family. It's so much more relaxing. It's easier to take care of my kids and handle all this. So from there, I ended up getting recruited to work for a large company, a large hotelier, and was responsible for 400 locations nationwide and maintaining those facilities. Had 6 facilities managers that were working with me, and got to experience that. Right, it's just answer to prayers. Fantastic job. I had an awesome boss that had a lot of confidence in me, and just was a wonderful human being. I'm so grateful that I got to work with him. I learned so much from him, and just that experience and working in a corporate environment. Right. So I continued my degree, and I graduated from Dallas Baptist, and then I started pursuing an MBA at the University of North Texas during that time as well. And what was great about that job is I got to start traveling around all over the country. It was a tough job. It was hard. I had to travel basically every other week, so it was a lot of flying around. But I went all over the country. I got to see almost every state in the union where we had hotels located at. I had to go and do inspections and things of that nature. But I got to see a lot. I got to see the difference in cities here in Texas from the difference of cities in Oakland. I got to see what our general managers had to deal with their employees in Florida versus how they were handling things up in Maryland or down here in Texas or out in California, right? So I got to see all these different things that are going on all across the country and see just how significant the differences really are as you go from place to place. But the one thing I did see is wherever business was happening, any business that I went to, these hotels I was managing or inspecting, it was always the same. Business was always the same. That's what I love about business. Everywhere you go, when you got people who care about business and doing good business, the only thing that they care about is serving their customers, treating them well, and meeting their needs, right? And that's the beauty of business. So unfortunately, that was when COVID hit, and because it was a corporate position and my job was kind of a secondary position, I guess you can say, up at the corporate office, I got let go with 100 other people. And I lost my job, not because of the COVID, but because of the lockdowns. Government policy coming down, breathing down our necks, locking down things, and that's what resulted in me losing my job. So I had to figure things out. Right, wife and 4 kids, had the house that we finally, we purchased that house in 2018. I got to figure this out. What in the world am I going to do? And so started looking around for another job. Got a job with a plumbing company out of New Mexico, and started as their director of training and operations. And I got to experience the world of trying to get a small business to grow. And because of the choices made by certain people at the top, we ended up having to wrap up operations. It sucked. It was rough. I had to personally call 30 technicians to let them know we were laying them off. Worst experience of my life. It was terrible. But again, another lesson learned, right? I got to see what it's like having to deal with this. And the main reason why was because of the lockdowns. Again, several states where most of our clients were located were still under lockdown orders or very limited, going out and about and doing things. So that affected that company really poorly. Bad decisions were made, so we ended up having to try to fix it. We were starting to fix it. Things were going in the right direction, and then bad choices were made, and that's what happened. I hate it, but that's the real world. These are things that happen, and so and these are just the realities that people have to face. So after that, I started up my own business again, and I started doing just general contract work, doing remodeling and renovations. And got my first renovation job, and just by God's good graces and mercy, I was able to get my family through that time. We had to take on some debt, take on some other things, but we didn't lose our house. Kids were taken care of. Kids were in school, and my wife was able to start going to become a firefighter and going to a fire academy and doing all that stuff. So in spite of everything, I was able to support everybody in that endeavor. And then I got hired on with the company I work for now, and through a great relationship and friendship that formed, and again, just God's mercy working in my life. I love working with this company. It's been such a blessing. And so throughout all this time, working or having my kids going to school over here in Cedar Hill, and I saw the condition of the schools, and we pay property taxes, right? Just the bane of our existence. Hate property taxes so much, but that's what pays for the schools, right? And so they were putting out something about a bond, but they were reaching out to the community and saying, "Hey, community, we want you to come in. We want to do a bond to get our schools fixed, but we want to get input from the community to go and do that." I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Hey, here's something I can do. Something I can do to get involved, especially with my kids going to the schools, right?" So I went and joined up this committee, and somehow I ended up being the guy trying to lead the committee, which, oh boy, I will not say I did very good at it, but I gave it my best, and I had a lot of good support and a great team there, and we did the best that we could with it, and lots of passion, lots of love for the school district. Now for me, what I found to be the case, I originally went in there with some doubts, as most of us do. Most of us have lost our trust in the independent school districts of Texas. But walking the schools, being a guy who does facilities management and facilities consulting and knows how to maintain buildings, walking around out there and seeing the condition of the schools was just shocking. I couldn't believe it. With the amount of money that the schools get, the school buildings in which our children are supposed to be learning were falling apart, literally falling apart. We had classes that had to be stopped because water was coming through the roof. And the thing was, the school hadn't had a bond in like 20 years, which is, when you think about it, that's pretty crazy. For Cedar Hill, for that school district to not have had a bond in a long time. Wow, I was like, oh my goodness. And so we went through all the math, we did all the stuff in there, and yeah, if we got that bond to fix the schools, and that's all that we were doing, right? We're not building new stuff, we're not building a new stadium, we're not doing that kind of stuff. We're fixing the existing schools. That's all that we were doing. And it wouldn't impact the I&O part of the school district's property taxes, right? The percentage that we do. It wouldn't have gone up. And so I was like, okay, why would we not do this? This is perfect. This makes 100% sense. The finances of the school district, they got their finances in order. They had a third party come and do an audit. They had A's all the way down and good to go. Like, you couldn't ask for a better condition, financial condition for a district to be in to do it. We had to fight tooth and nail in the community to try to make that happen. And this was 2020, I want to say? No, it was earlier than that. I can't remember the year. It's been too long. But that drove me nuts. And so there was an opportunity to run for the school board to try to prevent people that were going to try to fight against the bond. So I threw my hat in the ring. I was like, hey, let's do this. Let me see if I can win. Didn't win, but we did get the right person to be on the school board to support the bond. Unfortunately, the bond didn't pass, but a couple of years later, it finally did. Unfortunately, because people didn't want to listen to us, we had to pay more. We had to increase property taxes just ever so slightly in order to cover the cost of that, because that's how inflation hit the cost to get this work done. It was terrible. It sucked. So that was where I started trying to okay, I need to focus on my family. I need to focus at home. That took a lot. There was a lot of time that I spent on that. Business was growing. I had to put attention to my work. I just finished my degree. All that kind of stuff was going on. So I wanted to support my wife in completing her program for going to be a firefighter, and just all that. So I was like, okay, I need to step back. But at some point, I want to figure out how to get back into it. So all of this life experience, all this stuff I've been dealing with in my life, and just all the blessings God has put in front of me, but I've gotten to see so much. And in seeing all of these things, it's what's resulted in me wanting to run for office. There's a better way to do this. There is a means of doing this. I do operations and project management. Operations is something I love. You're able to do analysis to be able to determine, given the resources that you have, what is the best way to accomplish some type of a thing, given your resources, your people, your environment that you're working in, given all those constraints, what is the best, most efficient, most productive way to accomplish whatever you're trying to accomplish? And so that can be applied in the government, and it should be applied in the government. That should be how government operates. Government operations should be the peak of just learning about operations, learning about business. We should be looking to the government to see peak efficiency, peak effectiveness with limited budgets, being able to get the job done. That's not the case. We see waste, fraud, and abuse all over the place. We see all of our tax dollars getting squandered on some of the dumbest things. And we have such limited control over that. It's improved, don't get me wrong. We've made a lot of progress over the last couple of decades in going in the right direction. But we're not there yet. We haven't made it all the way. So when it came to this election cycle, I had been praying on it for a while to just ask, how do I do this? What should I do? Didn't have any plans for it, wasn't expecting it, but I ended up getting a call, somebody reaching for people to run for office here in the Dallas area because there wasn't enough Republican candidates. I said, okay, I'll do it. Nobody else wants to do it, fine, I'll do it. I'll throw my hat in the ring. And that was it. So the reasons why I'm running are because I want to create an environment where here in the state of Texas, we are always thinking about Texas first. We want Texas to be the first and most affordable. We want Texas to be the first in education. We want Texas to be the first in doing business. We want to be first in our just peak job market. Like, that's what we want. We want Texas first. And that's what I want to bring to the table. There's things that we can do to make it easier on people to get through life, to make it through the struggle that we all experience. All of us experience this stuff, right? We're all going through everything, whether you're a veteran or you're not or whatever. We all experience these hardships in life, and we need to be there to support each other. And the government doesn't need to be there to be the handout, doesn't need to be the one picking you up, but it needs to have the framework in place that allows us to do that for each other. It needs to get out of our hair. It needs to leave us alone. The power needs to be brought down to the local city level over our schools, over our budgets, over our infrastructure. All that needs to be brought down to the city level. The state's power needs to be reduced, and it needs to be focused on making sure that city governments are doing what their citizens want them to do. And we can make that happen, and there's ways to do it. And that's what my calling is. That's what is compelling me to want to continue in this campaign, to push on and to do what's right by our people. So my name is Will Campbell. I'm running for Texas House District 109, and those are the reasons why I'm running for office. And it's a little bit about me, a little bit about my background. And so I look forward to winning this race and fighting for you down in Austin. So thank you so much. Go to willcampbell4texas.com to learn more about me. Thank you.